The Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM, Philadelphia.
My brother, my sister, papa, mama, and pikin. Corona, no big pass us. We go fight time, we go win. As long as we remember to always do the right thing. Wash your hands, love each other, we go win. Oh. Corona, na the virus, we dey worry human being. E no get Lego, but e dey waka from person to person. But we fit beat time, we fit stop time, if we maintain good hygiene and practice social distancing. We go, we know. No shaking hands with your neighbor. Blow them a kiss from afar. Use soap and water to wage war. Let's show this thing who we are. We are special, we're courageous, we are awesome human beings. We dey super, we get power, we can conquer anything. If we hear word and obey laws and exercise discipline. Wash your hands, love each other, we go, we know. If it be like say you know well, like it's something they do you, and you feel say, you believe say, you get a seed it do you, and your body no gree surgery, like it's something they do you. No let panic finish you, you go, we know. Self-isolate for the sake of all the people that you love. Oh, don't go around spreading rumors, 'cause fake news won't help anyone. You are special, you're courageous, you're a caged human being. You too much, oh, you get power, you can conquer anything. Only if you hear word and obey laws and exercise discipline. Wash your hands, love one another, we go, we know. My brother, my sister, papa, mama, and pikin. COVID-19, no big pass, we go fight and we go win. Just as long as we remember to always do the right thing. Wash your hands, love each other, we go, we know.
Yeah, Philly, how you feeling today? I hope you're having a good day. This is a Real Fitness Show right here on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia. And I'm your host, the one and only fitness and lifestyle coach on the Philly airwaves. I'm Henryagain. Hope you're all keeping safe, guys. I hope you're all having a good day. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. I've lost track of time and day. It's so crazy. My routine lately has been so insane. Don't know when I go to sleep. Don't even know when I wake up. Everything it's like it's been one long day, since we just all started staying at home. It's like it's been just one day straight up. Lost track of when you eat and when you don't eat. But one of the keys to maintaining sanity during this period is to just try as much as possible to be disciplined. It can be hard on yourself, but to a large extent, be as disciplined as it can be. And I hope you guys are really staying at home. Don't see it as being stuck at home, but see it as being safe at home. I've got a great show planned out for you today, depending on what day of the week it is you're listening to these or what time during this whole quarantine season you're listening to these. I'm recording this from my home studio. Our main station is closed, because everyone is trying to stay safe and stay at home and stay quarantined. So I produce my episodes from home and just send it in there and cue it during this time. So I'm not sure what time you're going to be listening to these or what day of the week or what day of the year you're going to be listening to these. But we know that sometime during the first week of April 2020, that Philly was being announced as a likely hotspot for COVID-19. By the way, big shout out to the Big Apple, everyone out there in New York City. Our hearts and prayers with you. Those going through one kind of pain or the other, and those who have lost people, big love to you. Also, big shout out to the Big Easy, Louisiana. Big shout out to LA, Seattle. And as a matter of fact, cities all over the United States and every state in this country and every country in this world, actually. Big shout out to everyone who's in one way or the other been impacted by COVID-19 or this novel coronavirus. Big shout out to you. Stay strong. We're praying with you. Anyways, that's why I'm recording from my home studio right now. All right, so when I heard about Philly being a likely hotspot in the United States, I thought about no better person to talk to than someone who's very passionate about her community. She's a community leader. She's going to be a guest on my show today. She's always very passionate about whatever community she finds herself in. And that's because she's a senior pastor at one of the largest African churches in the tri-state area. Her church is called the Redeemed Christian Church of God Living Spring Miracle Center. She's got locations right here in the heart of West Philly, 58 and Walnut. And she's got another church located at 1000 Columbia Avenue, Linwood. That's in Marcus Hook, Delaware County. And I just wanted to talk to her to find out what she thought about Philly and how she felt like people should be able to take care of themselves if Philadelphia was going to become the next hotspot. And that's why I reached out to her. Her name is Pastor Funmi Obilana. And I just wanted to get her thoughts on this. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Fitness Show for the first time. The one and only Pastor Funmi Obilana. Hello, Pastor. How are you today?
Hi, Henry. I'm doing very well. I'm doing good. And I hope you are all doing good, too.
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. It's so good to have you on the show today. 4 weeks ago, or say 6 weeks today, no one knew that this was going to become our lives. We were living lives very differently. And right now, it's like we don't even recognize the world that we live in. It's been so crazy. And going to the stores look so different for those that are still open. People buying out a whole lot of things, and we also not finding certain things that you want to buy. I just have a question for you, Pastor Funmi. I want to know what were the things that you actually went to get from the store when this whole panic buying for this whole shelter at home started. I'd like to know what was in your carts. I wish I was a fly on the wall to know what you also rushed for when you went to the store and heard about, there's likely going to be a shutdown in Philly.
So, well, to take us back a little, I thought when I first had an inkling of what might happen, I was actually out of the country. So where I was, I began to really feel threats and say, hey, I need to get back into the U.S. quickly because we might have a border shut down. So I really became jittery, of course, because I couldn't afford to be shut out of the country. So I did get a flight back in, and I came back in on February, the last day of February 29th. Actually, I didn't get home until that morning, until Sunday, March 1st, about 2 a.m. in the morning. I finally got into my house. I breathed a deep sigh of relief that I made it in. But I mean, the borders didn't close immediately. It took a while. Now, when I realized that things were going to be a little rough, the first thing, of course, was get some foodstuff. Get as much foodstuff as I can, especially non-perishable items, because I thought to myself that, hey, if we are shut down, you need to have food in the house that has a long shelf life. I don't do processed food. I don't do canned food. I do fresh food. But because of what I thought might be coming, I suddenly started to shop for canned food and processed food because those, of course, have long life. And then basic things like toilet roll and toilet roll suddenly became a big, unbelievable. It became a big necessity. And then I started hearing news about, oh, it's not available. I went out to see if I could get a little more. But of course, by then, toilet roll had disappeared off the shelf. I had a little house that would last me probably like a month. Toilet roll, kitchen paper towels, laundry detergent, stuff like that. I had some at home. So, yeah. So for me, the first thing was food, because if you have food in the house and you can't go out, at least that's the big item already taken care of. So for me, it was just food. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for sharing that story with us. All right, so since you took us back, I just wanted to find out what event happened that made you realize that, okay, this is for real. For instance, for me, I wasn't taking this whole thing seriously until the NBA games were canceled. I'll never forget that night. Like, we were all waiting for this game and they just said this game wouldn't hold anymore because they were testing the players for the Utah Jazz. I'm like, wow, okay, this is for real. And that is when it all began to dawn on me that this is a big deal. So for you, what really happened? What events or what series of events happened that made you realize that, okay, this is for real?
Well, I was listening to the news coming out of China, and about a week, probably around February 22nd, 23rd, I knew that, for any serious country, that borders should shut down. And I was convinced that the US was going to shut down its borders anytime. I was getting in, and I was a little shocked that it took the US such a long time to shut down. And really, we didn't even shut down our borders. So, that's another story for another day anyway. So I realized that things would be shut down, that it would be difficult to get anything, because the route China went was the route any reasonable country should go. So that was the way I was thinking. Of course, I'm not in government, and I'm not in the policy making channel of government. So, like I said, I'll just leave that for another day. But when I finally got in and realized that things had not yet shut down, I thought, oh well, that gives us a little time to prepare. And I talked to a few people around me. I also didn't want to send anyone into a panic mode, simply because I'm a pastor, and if I announce to everybody, oh, people are really going to panic, and you really don't want that to happen. But quietly, just encouraging people, get yourself ready, get some food, stuff like that. But then we were still having service. I remember coming in that morning, going to church Sunday morning, a few hours later, having service normally. But then later during the week, I had a meeting with leaders in the church, and some of the pastors were our pastors, and they said, we should shut down. We shouldn't have service tomorrow, which tomorrow then was going to be the 8th, or the 8th. And I said, why? And, they said, we don't want to take responsibility for if this thing is going around and we are, but I wasn't convinced. I said, let's see what happens. We'll get ready for if we have to not have service in the morning, but at the same time, let's plan to have service. By this time, of course, a few days before, my house had been set up like a little studio so that we could, if anything happened and we were totally shut down, I could still transmit from the house service. So we were ready for that. But as at the Saturday, I wasn't convinced that Saturday, the 7th of March, I wasn't yet convinced. Well, on Sunday morning, I checked my phone and somebody had sent a message to me from outside of town. One of our pastors from outside town, she's a medical doctor. And she now explained in that text message what the coronavirus was going to be like in terms of the way it spreads and the time in which it spreads. When I saw that text message, it was around 5 a.m. Sunday, March the 8th. I was alarmed. I picked up the phone, I called her. I said, please explain this to me. She started telling me about the exponential way in which the coronavirus increases. And she said to me, you may not see a lot of people displaying symptoms today, but what you see today, the result of it, you will see in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and it will be horrible. And she said, because this just doubles. So picture in your mind that today you have 2 people, tomorrow you have 4, the day after you have 8, 3 days later you have 16, 3 days later, 4 days later you have 16 times 16.
Wow.
So when she told me that, I was petrified. Immediately, I called and sent a message out to the leadership of the church and to the church. We will not have service today. We are not gathering together. However, I'm already set up in-house to have to broadcast from the house. So that is what we will do. So that's what we did. Sunday morning, we did not congregate. Let me take that back. We did not congregate. My home was already ready for broadcast, but we didn't congregate. I asked a few of the leaders to meet me in church, and the whole of the church should stay home and watch us. So we streamed that Sunday, March the 8th, from the church with a few people in. And by the following Sunday, all our services was now online from my home. The church, the 2 campuses were totally shut down. They've been shut down since then. That was how we moved from gathering together to going to church to stream, and then finally shutting in so that it's just myself, one technical person, one pastor, my household, doing the broadcast, totally shutting out every other person.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Pastor, because this suggests to me right now that an increase in knowledge, or the more you know about, in this case, the coronavirus, the more likely you're to have better behaviors towards the virus. The more you understand it, the more knowledge you have about how it works and how it spreads, the more likely that your behaviors towards it are likely going to be beneficial. Now, not knowing too much to the point that you're paralyzed, but knowing enough to change your behavior, I think that is pretty remarkable. And that brings me to the point how that Philly today is being rumored to be the likely hotspot for the coronavirus. Yesterday, April 9th, I was listening to Mayor Kenny talk about how that he wanted to ramp up awareness and the spread of information about the coronavirus in the whole Philly community. And Philly also is one of the largest cities in the United States. It's also the poorest of all the cities that have at least 1 million people in it. I think there are just about 10 of them or so, and Philly ranks as one of the poorest. Now, in a city like Philly, do you think that a lack of knowledge might be one of the reasons why people in this community might be a likely target for an outbreak of the coronavirus? Let's keep in mind also that we are learning that the coronavirus is impacting and killing more people of color these days than usual, and a lot of people are wondering why. We're trying to get a data to figure out why is this virus killing impacting and killing more people of color, and Philly also has that disadvantage. But I just want to get your take on this. What do you think might be the reason? Do you think we need more knowledge about the coronavirus in Philly? Do you think people are ignorant? And what are you most concerned about when you think about Philly and the coronavirus?
Well, one of the things that facilitates the spread of the virus is close proximity. Now, for every major city anywhere in the world, that's a problem because of the population density. Because large numbers of people are concentrated in small spaces. So that's right there is a trigger for spread. So for Philadelphia, because it's a densely populated city, that's a trigger right there. Number two is the transportation system. Most people in Philly are dependent on public transportation. And whether it's the subway or the bus, that's a lot of people. You don't know what kind of precautions they are taking. Some are not taking precautions at all. And you have to be in that transportation mode with them. So that, again, is another trigger. That's a double whammy for somebody who lives in a major city area. Number three thing is poverty. And again, for Philadelphia, that is another trigger, because somebody who doesn't have money cannot go out and bulk shop and stock up, not because they don't want to, but because they cannot afford to. They already find it difficult to put one meal a day on their table. You are asking them to stock up for 30, 45, 60 days. They must stock up for 1 week. Where are they going to get that money? So that's another problem. Now, of course, when you are in a situation where you cannot, it seems as if all doors are closed and you have no recourse. You are in a place where it's densely populated. Maybe you live in an apartment complex, or you have to rely on public transportation to go anywhere, or because of poverty, because of a lack of funds, you really can't do bulk shopping. The next thing you do is it's psychological. You withdraw yourself, or you resign yourself, and I don't want to call it denial, but it's probably what it is. And you say, oh, well, everything is going to be all right. Well, no, everything is not going to be all right. But because of these various other issues that you have to contend with, the only way for you to keep your sanity is to get into that mode of everything will work out just fine. I'll be good. You try to be optimistic about it. I think that is the problem that we have in the predominantly Black community, because we've been segregated for so long, we've been discriminated against for so long. We are not given the kind of opportunities that other people have. And so we have this underdog mentality, and it prevents us sometimes from, taking our own destiny in our hand and sitting up and trying to pull ourselves out from whatever pit we've been pushed into, and just get on our feet and make up our minds that, you know what, if nobody is taking care of me, I'm going to take care of myself. And I think this pandemic should shake us up in the Black community and make us understand that, hey, if we do not wake up and sit up and take our own destiny into our own hands and begin to fend for ourselves and watch out for ourselves, we will find ourselves extinct And God forbid, because who is dying the most now? It's us Black people. And that is unfortunate because there's absolutely no need for this. We need to sit up and take responsibility for ourselves, for our lives, and stop waiting for someone else to come and help us.
Oh, wow. That is very profound, Pastor. Thank you so much for that input. Really appreciate it. If you're just joining us, my guest is Pastor Funmi Obilana. She's a senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Living Spring. And her church has two locations, one right here in the heart of West Philly and 58 on Walnut, and a second one at 1000 Columbia Avenue, Linwood in Delaware County. You've been listening to The Real Fitness Show right here on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia, and I'm your host, the one and only Henryagain. I'll be back after this break. I will talk some more. The Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia. It's the one and only fitness and lifestyle coach in the Philly airwaves, Henryagain. And my guest is Pastor Funmi Obilana. She's a senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Living Spring, with two branches, one right here in the heart of West Philly, 58 in Walnut, and a second one at 1000 Columbia Avenue in Linwood, Delaware County. And we've been talking about COVID-19 and how people who live in Philadelphia and in many cities like this can actually help themselves to be better equipped and better positioned to not be overwhelmed by this pandemic called COVID-19. So, Pastor, I have a question for you, and I really want to know what you think that cities like Philadelphia, New York City, Seattle, even Lagos, South Africa, New Delhi in India, different cities all over the world. What specifics do you think the cities like this can do or should start thinking about post-COVID-19 to help themselves be better prepared and better positioned, tomorrow, to not be so overwhelmed by this kind of disease or anything again of this kind of sort that comes on us? What do you think we can do? Are you thinking about any specifics that you think that we should start doing right now? This is where we are right now, but we have to prepare for the future to make sure that we have a better life, both for ourselves and the generation next.
Well, one of the key things, and I always say it's that a chaotic environment is a reflection of a chaotic mind. And until we as Black people begin to take pride in our environments, in our homes, we are not going to be able to do the other things we need to do. When you get into our neighborhoods, it's filthy. It's you have graffiti all over the place. You just have to step into our communities to realize that, hey, there's a sense of hopelessness in this place. There's this, there's a feeling of chaos, of a lack of order. And that does not need to be, it does not need to be so. So come post coronavirus, I think the first thing we need to do as communities is to block by block clean up our environments. Get a dab of paint over all the stuff that we have all over the place. Make our environment clean. People should stop dropping stuff all over the place. Let's clean up. The minute you clean your environment up, a sense of dignity comes on you. You feel you feel like a real person, and then we need to find something to do. We need to find work to do. We can't rely on government. Has government helped us now? I came in and I was thinking that government was going to shut down the borders and shut down everyone and say, everybody stay home, which was the right thing to have done then. We will not have had this horror in New York, and now we have been told that it's coming to Philadelphia. I've been praying And other people have joined me to pray that this is not going to happen in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not going to be full of body bags. I've been praying about that. And I know other people have been praying along with me. We are not having body bags in Philadelphia. God will have mercy on us in the name of Jesus. But while we are doing that, we as a people need to do what we are supposed to do and clean up our act. Government does not help people. People help themselves. And God helps us. Don't we see a failure of government now?
Great words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Pastor. If you're just tuning in, this is the Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia. And my guest is Pastor Funmi Obilana of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Living Spring. Thank you so much for that input. It reminds me of the saying, think what you would do for your country and not what your country would do for you. Thank you so much, Pastor. I really appreciate it. I have a question, though, and it has to do with cultures. Now, many of us who are African American or people of color, even Latin Americans, we're very, very warm, touchy, very communal in the way that we relate to one another. We hug, we kiss, we touch, that's just our culture. I can imagine even at church when people are walking into church, the way the ushers greet, the hug and all of that. Very, warm and affectionate. Now, with all of these changes, what are you thinking about? What are the new strategies that you think you would have to implement going forward and still make people not feel like they're losing their culture, but we're just making changes for our own safety and well-being? Or what do you think we should do? Because I know that for many of us, adjusting to this new lifestyle, it's going to be very, very challenging. So what's going to be a word to communities like ours, African American, Latin American, like people in Italy, for instance, very warm. What do you want to say to communities like ours?
Well, we all have to change the way we it's the reality of where we are today. I know that first Sunday I came back to church when this whole thing started. That was Sunday, the 1st of March. I refused to, and usually I'm a huggy, feely kind of person. I hold people's hands, I hug them. I refused to do that. People stretched out their hands to me and I looked at them. And I mean, I had to hold myself back because, again, as a leader, you have to set an example. And this was the 1st of March before all this stuff, really became. So I had to hold myself back, not greet any, not reach out to touch anyone. And that day we did have service. We had a full church. But I refrained from touching anyone or hugging anyone. And I said to the church, don't do it. So it may be our culture. We are a warm, Africans and Black people and, people of Hispanic descent, we are warm people, very, very warm, but we have to relearn some of these things. And the way the world is going now, where the whole world is one single global village, we will continue to have sicknesses like this, pandemics, because once there's a sickness any part of the world, the potential is for it to spread to the rest of the world. We are all flying, we are all going on cruises, we are all, the world has become a village. So we have to rethink some of the things we do. Plus, our hygiene levels need to go up. Even before all this started, if I'm flying in an airplane, or if I use a public restroom, I take a piece of the tissue to open the toilet door, because you don't know the last person who used it, whether they have some sickness, whether they washed their hands. You have to have this heightened level of public health. It's critical. so that we don't acquire diseases and we don't spread diseases to other people. It's a two-way street. Life has changed forever. It has changed. And this is the reality of the times we live in.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for being a guest on the show today. Your insights have been so invaluable. I really appreciate it. If you're just joining us, my guest today is Pastor Funmi Obilana, the senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Living Spring. And you're listening to The Real Fitness Show right here on WPEB 88.1 FM, Philadelphia. I'll take a break right now, playing you the song Hope in Front of Me by the one and only Danny Goki, and I'll be back after this.
I've been running through rain that I thought would never end, trying to make it on faith in a struggle against the wind. I've seen the dark and the broken places, oh, but I know in my soul, no matter how bad it gets, I'll be alright. There's hope in front of me, there's a light, I still see it. There's a hand still holding me, even when I don't believe it. I might be down, but I'm not dead. There's better days still at my head, even after all I see. There's hope in front of me, yeah. There's a place at the end of the storm you finally find, where the hurt and the tears and the pain all fall behind. You open up your eyes and up ahead there's a big sun shining. Right then and there you realize you'll be alright. There's hope in front of me, there's a light, I still see it. There's a hand still holding me, even when I don't believe it. I might be down, but I'm not dead. There's better days still at my head, even after all I see. There's hope in front of me, yeah. There's a hole still burning, I can feel it rising through the night, and the world's still turning. I can feel your love, you're by my side. Oh,
The Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM, Philadelphia. Yeah, and I'm your host, the one and only fitness and lifestyle coach on the Philly airwaves, Henryagain. And if you're just tuning in, my guest is Pastor Funmi Obilana of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. We've been having a great time so far. Pastor, you talked about how that during, I think you said it was the first Sunday of March, you didn't shake anyone at church. That must have been so hard for you to do. It's so difficult for me to imagine that happening. But that goes to speak about how COVID-19 is really changing our world. And I dare say, for the good, even though we might not like the changes right now. And I really want to commend you and the entire team that has been helping you set up your home studio from which you can now broadcast to not just your congregation, but people all over the world. That is really remarkable, and that's a really beautiful thing. By the way, quick plug in here. I know that you've been doing these reflections every morning, Mondays to Saturdays, every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's been pretty cool. Yesterday I listened to one, I think it's you were talking about confidence, and that was pretty cool. Shout out to that's Facebook live show. So everyone listening to me, you could go check it out. And every morning, I don't know how long you're going to do this for, Pastor, if it's just for this quarantine period, but for now I know it's every morning 9 a.m. Mondays to Saturdays. And that's pretty cool, Pastor. And now we're talking about church. What has been the most challenging thing for you to now adjust to, since you do not have your congregation in front of you? All the years you've been teaching and preaching, you've always been doing this to people in front of you. But now, at least more often than not, but now you don't have people in front of you. You have to just preach and teach by yourself. What's been most challenging for you? Is it preparing the sermon? Is it working with your slides? Or there is no feedback from the congregation for you to feed up from? How's it been for you? Can you just take us a little bit into that whole experience for you right now?
Actually, I I want to say that it's been really fulfilling for me because I've seen members of the church um, ramp up, and I'm just amazed, totally blown away by the level of commitment and sacrifice that I've seen them display. When I say that we have that they set up like a studio for me in the house, that's apart from 50 to 100 hours of man work that volunteers are doing remotely to get that 1 hour production out. People are working from their various homes, their various computers, and we have and the technical team is putting all that together so that even though we are not together in the same location, but they are working night and day. So when you see these productions, our services, whether it's Sunday service or Wednesday Bible study, it's because there are people, volunteers spread all over New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, working together to make what you see on Sunday or Wednesday happen. And that, for me, has really, really been humbling. And to see the passion with which they do the work. So what you see, it's not me. It's a lot of other people that you don't see making it happen. And I think for me, I just sit back and I look and I thank God because it tells me how much God has invested in so many people, and this crisis, this emergency is bringing out from them what they have. And I take that back to our Black community. There's so much that we have. And I don't want to be a Black community person alone because as a pastor, it's for everyone, whether you are African American, Hispanic, Caucasian, whatever you are. God has put something in every single one of us. And there's so much value in us and we have something to offer. Everybody has something to offer. So if you are listening to me and you feel, oh, I'm no good, I'm not good enough, I don't have skills, no. Everyone has something inside of them that when you bring out and we all pull it together, we present a beautiful whole. And so a big thank you to all the people who have been working behind the scenes to make sure that even though we are not gathering together, we are still together and we are doing what we have always done, which is reaching out and being a blessing to people.
Oh, wow. That is so touching and very, very humbling of you, Pastor, to give a shout out to your team and everyone who's really helping you out. I really hope they get to hear this. That is really impressive and remarkable. And it also goes to show how adaptable we are as humans, how we can easily adapt and, just keep it moving. That's pretty beautiful. Pastor, I want to ask you a more personal question. And that has to do with this event that you like to do every year. I know about it because I've attended it a couple times and helped in the planning too. And that's the Total Woman Conference. Now, that is a conference that Pastor Funmi likes to do annually, where she reaches out to people, women from every part of Pennsylvania, every part of the United States, and internationally as well. People come from across the pond to come attend that meeting and also to minister in that meeting. And now you don't have that conference, or you might not be having a conference in April because it was supposed to start next week. And I know that you usually go to Hershey and everyone stays in a hotel. It's, pretty cool event. So what are your plans now for Total Woman Conference 2020 or even Total Woman Conference going forward? Because again, like we've been saying, since seems like we're going to rethink how we do what we do, how we congregate, and how we change and meet and all of those, cool stuffs. So what's the plan for Total Woman Conference 2020?
Well, Total Woman Conference 2020, thank you, because that's something that is so much on my heart, because the Total Woman Conference is just an annual thing we do for the Total Woman movement. And Total Woman is about helping women. The H is for hope, E for empowerment, love, L for love, and P for purpose. So Total Woman is about helping women to come into their purpose. So this year, of course, we had to cancel our Hershey meeting. Hopefully, we will be able to have that meeting next year. But for this year, I want every woman, every total woman, to create Hershey. Hershey is a nice resort in Hershey, Pennsylvania, where we go, we relax, we have a good time, and we are also empowered. So create a Hershey environment in your home. The conference was supposed to start next week, Thursday through Saturday. So between Monday and Wednesday, I want you to go out. I want you to clean out your homes, tidy it up, make it look nice. Just create a Hershey environment in your home. And then on Thursday, we will have a meeting. We probably will have to do Zoom or Facebook Live, where we will have something on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It won't be the entire conference, but at least an hour a day for those 3 days. I will be meeting with all the total women. But before then, please create a Hershey environment in your home. We can't go out, but we can make wherever we stay look better and more comfortable for us. So that's the challenge to every total woman.
Yo, Pastor, that is really, really cool. I like that one. Making a Hershey environment in your home. You know what? I think every lady needs to be a part of that and just learn how we can, make the house clean. Just clean it out. That's going to be very cool. Maybe, how about you use one of your reflections, your Facebook Live moments next week, and just, have you teach ladies about, or talk to ladies about how they can make a Hershey environment at home. I'm sure I'm going to benefit from that. And I'm going to make sure that every lady in my household tunes in and watches that. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to benefit from that. I think we should make that happen. Yes. Maybe someday next week or every day next week, since that would have been to the Women Conference. And we just talk about how to make a beautiful home out of a mess, because I'm sure for a lot of people it's a mess right now. But thanks so much for sharing that, and I hope that it all goes well, and I hope that going forward you're still able to impact people the way you've always dreamed of doing. And I have one more question, Pastor, about this weekend. It's Easter, and I think this is going to be the first time in my life since I can remember that I'll be outside of a church on Easter Sunday. And I know it's going to be the same for a whole lot of people too. And my wife said something to me during the week, and she said, what if this happened during Christmas and everyone had to stay at home, no buying of gifts and nothing, the church? And I just said to myself, we would have looked for a way to save Christmas. That's what happens in the whole lot of movies. My question to you right now is, this Sunday we're going to be outside of church, no congregation, no Easter as we know it. How can we save Easter? What are your plans, or what are you thinking?
Well, Easter is about the resurrected Jesus. And it's about celebrating the core of our Christian faith. The core of our Christian faith is not necessarily in the parties that we have or the gatherings that we have. The core of our Christian faith is our relationship with God through Jesus Christ when we accept Him as our Lord and personal Savior. So for me, Easter is a time to reconnect to my faith. And for the church, it's a time for each of us to evaluate what we truly believe in and what is really important to us. Because remember, Emmanuel, God with us. And Jesus said, I'm going, but I will come back to you again. And He's with us. Every Christian all over the face of the earth is with us in a way that He could not have been with us if He was still physically present on earth. So for Easter, for every one of us, I just want us to remember that it is our faith. It is, and faith is tangible, but you can't see it. You can't see it, but it is tangible in the effects that it has. So let our faith carry us through this period, that even though we cannot meet together and do the stuff we usually do together as brothers and sisters in Christ, but God is still with us, and the core of our faith is not shaken and has not changed. And that core is Christ Jesus and His redeeming love.
Thank you so much for everything you've said and shared with us today. Thank you so much for being on the show. If you're just joining us, this is the Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia. But my guest today has been Pastor Funmi Obilana. She's the senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Living Spring, with 2 locations, one right here in the heart of West Philly on 58 in Walnut. Actually, it's 5801 Walnut Street, Philadelphia, and 1000 Columbia Avenue, Marcus Hook in Delaware County. Thank you so much, Pastor, for being a guest here. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you so much for your time. We really, really do appreciate it. And come back again sometime. Don't be a stranger. Really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Henry. You've done a great job today. And I pray that your desires, your dreams will all come to a reality. Thank you for all you are doing. God bless you.
All right, guys, I'll take a musical break right now, and I'll be back to wrap this up. This one is a very good song, it's a very special one, especially for a moment like this. This is USA for Africa, We Are the World. Very beautiful song. Enjoy, and I'll be back. The Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM, Philadelphia.
A time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family. And the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make it brighter day.
spite of how old this song is, I chose to wrap up today's show with this particular song because its most popular line is something that we all can use today. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a better place. It's up to us. And something that my guest has been saying all day, it's not the government, it's you and I. We're the ones to make a difference. We are the ones. We are the government. We make the government. Whoever is your leader right now, we voted them. We are the ones. And it's up to us to make a better place. So when I'm staying home, when I'm sacrificing, when I'm doing my part, whatever it is, I'm doing it because it's up to me. My bit, my little, it's gonna make a difference. We're the ones to make the world a better place. Many of us can't pay our bills or do things the way we are used to doing them. Things are changing, yeah, but it's not gonna be like this for long. And one of the things that I've learned about the human society is how that we all rise up to lift one another up in times of distress and troubles like this. All the colors, to a large extent, just drops. We all become colorblind. All our differences are put aside, and we just want to help one another. And I hope that that spirit continues, because it's up to you and me to make the world a better place for us today and for our children who are coming. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the show today. And I talk about everything from rest remedies to exercise examples to food facts and love lessons and everything in between. So the Real Fitness Show is not just about physical fitness, it's a total package. I want to make sure that you're fit, mind, soul, and body. That's what I'm here to do. And I've been your host today, the one and only fitness and lifestyle coach on the Philly airwaves. My name is Henryagain. This has been the Real Fitness Show, and you've been tuned into WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia. The Real Fitness Show on WPEB 88.1 FM Philadelphia.